Romeo Miller seems to shade Master P for avoiding children's struggle with self-unaliving and depression after
this whole thing came out with my son is crazy because I'm like, how would you do this to me? I got dudes in the streets, I done laid up under killers and everything. They wouldn't do this to me, no. So it's like that support that hurt. But I understand his pain too, and I'm not perfect. Right. But you know, in this situation, I'm not wrong. So I'm not gonna even accept that. Let's go back, I'm gonna give you a teachable moment, right? If I didn't take care of my son and he'd been around for 30-some years, you don't think that he would have been did this? You right about what you're saying. But you know what the problem is? Well, he got spoiled. Yeah. That long in life and destroy everything that we have instead of coming to me. I know I'm a street dude. I know I scream and holler sometimes. Think about it. But I do it out of love because, man, my son came up with all this stuff. We had junkies, alcoholics, everything in our family. But we knew it and we recognized it and we talked about it. That generation want to hide it. They go on social media. They were, my daddy screamed at me. He won't take his granddaughter. He don't like, man, if I tell him something, you don't want to listen, then you got to go stay with your mama. I'm not.
Master P situation. So I got a few clips from Master P's most recent interview with Nino Brown. And it seems Master P is coming from the perspective of really only really understanding his side of things, his understanding of loyalty, his understanding of what he's been through, his understanding of how he grew up, and really focusing on the financial aspect of what Romeo was bringing to the disagreement between the two. But that does not seem like the intention that Romeo was coming from. It simply seemed like an aside, as in addition to, you know, the tragedy of his sister, Master P's daughter, you know, self-unaliving. There seemed to be a frustration on Romeo's part that he's tried to, you know, talk about these troubling things behind closed doors before, and he's been met with nothing but resistance. And so I'm sure as he was growing up, he saw Master P, you know, kind of favoring his reputation over anything that was, you know, truly required some level of emotional intelligence. I believe what Master P is doing in these clips is he knows there's a little bit more to things, but he values his reputation over really solving the issue between him and his son. At the end of the day, he did say, I'm right. I'm not wrong. So how can you have a real coming together and reconciliation if you're not willing to understand another person's point of view? Because again, it does not seem like Romeo is just trying to hit him up for money. It seems like Romeo is able to take care of himself. Now, it could very well be that Romeo is being a little shit, but I mean, on the face of it, what I'm seeing, it just seems like he looked at something from an emotionally intelligent perspective and recognized that his father does not have that, and it does not prioritize that. He prioritizes business, he prioritizes his reputation, and his son may very well be in the 10th house. So we find ourselves at a psychological and relational impasse between the two. And I have experienced this so many times because I get triggered and those same emotions come up of, you know, people just, they act like they really, really love you, but their priority before a relationship with you is protecting their ego. And I see that with Master P. Again, Romeo could be doing the same thing. He could be lying. He could be embellishing. He could be, you know, bringing things out. But Master P never said, hey, you know, we never did this. We never did that. He attacked one very specific thing, and it was this financial thing. And, you know, Romeo's spoiled. And it's like, that was not even the main aspect of what he was complaining about. He was complaining about, or he was making it public. He said, I'm making this public because every time I've brought it up in private with you, you have stonewalled me. You have blocked me. You have resisted me every time. And that is why I have not reached out to you and talked to you. And it's like, me, I totally understand this POV. So I'm like, that sounds like, I mean, because I'm relating to it, I might be projecting my own sincerity onto Romeo, but it seems pretty sincere what Romeo is saying. So I think Master P, from an emotional intelligence and psychological relational perspective, is in over his head. He doesn't even really know what's happening. He's a hood dude, and he doesn't understand like really troubleshooting and working through emotions in the family, because he may not feel them. He may not immediately feel them. Uh, and But he also thinks that he's right. He doesn't think that there's anything wrong with what he's done or how he's gone about doing anything. And he complains about Romeo being spoiled, but that's one space where he does not take responsibility. He said, well, you're not looking and you're not listening. It's like, it's your responsibility to make sure that your children don't end up being assholes. That's your responsibility. That's the one place where he doesn't seem to take responsibility. And I'm getting personally angry because it's just like, I have been gaslit so much. And I'm like, what's going on with them? I will never understand the fullness of it. And it's not really, truly my business. But I have an opinion about it because the emotional context of what's happening between those two hits so close to home. I got to talk about it. I'm more on the Romeo side, where he's like, listen, I'm just going to, hey man, you're not getting it. I'm just going to move back. And Master P comes from another generation. He comes from another culture. He doesn't understand this stuff, but he also, at the end of the day, is going to protect his ego. And he's going to protect what he thinks is right for himself. It's stubborn. I think it's foolish. I think that he really needs to try to really understand what's going on with his son. He may genuinely think that his son is just complaining about money. And Romeo may very well have been doing that, complaining about money a lot behind the scenes. But I think Romeo, he just feels like somebody, from what he wrote, feels like somebody that truly cares about family and truly cares about solving problems and healing generational trauma. If you look at his Instagram, he does seem to have some degree of understanding of family psychological dynamics and, emotional intelligence and things like that. He's not much younger than I am. So it's like we're both millennials, I would think. So there's just this emerging understanding in society, in mainstream society, of familial psychological dynamics and how important they are to creating a stable environment for a child to grow up in. And Romeo said, hey, I got a kid now. I can't have him around you, bro, because you don't get it. You don't understand. And Master P is taking it personally, or he's putting it out there in public for him to take it personally. And someone like him is just going to be around his boys for the rest of his life. Like, he'll be around his boys and he'll be fine with that. And he'll think that Romeo is just an ungrateful little shit. And that's on him, man. He just won't have a relationship with his son because he's too stubborn to try to really put his hubris to the side and just, hey, son, what's going on? How can I do better? He's not trying to do that at all. And he's publicly not taking responsibility for it. And also, I'm a little disappointed because I follow Nino Brown and I agree with damn near everything he says with regards to his little videos. But I'm kind of disappointed in Nino Brown because it's like, I thought you were a little bit smarter than that. I thought you understood things a little bit better than that, where you wouldn't just be blasting Romeo for being spoiled. Again, I don't know any of these people at all. So I'm just, calling it as I see it. And I'm seeing the most superficial level. Master P may very well be in the right. The way I see it, Romeo's in the right. And I'm disappointed with Nino Brown. So.
Be aware, nerd.